people.
How do I pronounce your last name, your maiden name?
Schooneman.
Schooneman. Here.
Marcia, here's a copy for you, so you know what you told me and what I typed up. This is very brief, you know. So anyway.
Oh, I live 1 block from Lincoln, Marcia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I live at Toohey and Delphia. Well, Toohey and Lincoln.
Uh-huh. Now you mean?
Yes.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Well, I was at seminary,
Oh, sure.
North Seminary. We were there for 6 to 8 years.
Wow.
How nice.
This is a beautiful place here.
Yes. John and I are going to run home and get our things.
Right.
She said they like it here.
Yeah.
Arbor Village is so pretty.
Yeah.
And it is.
We're very, very happy here.
Yeah.
I like it. Very pretty.
And Mom's close to me, and Marcia's close to Mark and Gary,
Yeah.
and her 2 sons.
Oh, awesome.
And she has a daughter-in-law, Miss Mary Ann. So, yeah.
Just between us, how is Beth doing? Is Beth a good daughter?
Incredible.
Yeah. Who's that? Who's she? Yeah.
She's wonderful.
So,
She is.
I don't know about that, but my mom stuck with me, so it is what it is, right? Eileen Hegeman. Yeah.
yes, she also said to say hello.
Yeah.
I saw her yesterday.
Your next door neighbor, Mom.
Claire's mother.
Yeah. Oh,
Small world.
Yeah. And how long have both of you been involved in the historical society?
Couple years. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm new.
You're new. Yeah, Nancy mentioned that. Well, good.
Now, did you live in Park Ridge?
I've been here
what he was going to do with me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but he figured it out that he could come down, down past the high school, right to the high school. You see, he had originally taught in Des Plaines
Oh.
at the old junior high school, and he had the bands there. And that was Main Township High School.
Right.
And then, of course, they built the high school, and Park Ridge got that, and then Des Plaines had the other,
Right.
you know. They had the lovely part. We had the smelly part.
So,
Did-
what street did you live on when you were in high school?
Sherwood Road.
You lived on Sherwood?
Yeah, my grandparents built the houses. You're going toward Nancy's house.
Yeah.
My grandparents built the house. It's a white colonial, New England colonial. It's kind of kitty corner from Nancy's over in the corner.
Oh, yes,
and
yes,
my
yes.
grandparents
Oh,
built.
I love that.
Well, it used to have
house.
green shutters. It just sold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it still have green shutters?
I think the shutters are gone, Mom.
I don't think it has
Yeah, the
shutters.
shutters are gone. I know.
What were they thinking?
Yeah, what were they thinking?
I don't know.
But yeah, my grandparents built that house in 1939, and then Mom
Oh.
lived there.
Was it in your house where you lived? Was it rural around there? Was there farms nearby, or, you know?
No, Des Plaines, though.
No, in your neighborhood, Mom.
Oh, in our neighborhood?
Yeah.
No, it was mainly a few,
There
not
were
a
houses.
lot.
Residential.
Yeah.
Residential. There were some greenhouses behind you.
Yes, the
There was
old greenhouses.
Sugar roses.
Yeah, behind, yeah.
And then at the end of, when you come along Sherwood Road to get to the main grade, there's a big, beautiful white house.
Whose house was that?
The Navies.
Navies.
Neve. Navies. And it was, Mr. Navy had a
Greenhouses too.
greenhouse business.
Oh.
And he had
That's a beautiful house.
Yes.
4 girls, and Mrs. Navy passed away very suddenly when the youngest one was born. That was my friend, Doris.
Oh.
Doris Navy. And
Oh, here's that. Sorry, Mom. Ooh, I see the name. Pfaff. It's
Oh, yes, I was going
P-F-A-F-F.
to tell you,
I spelled it wrong in here. I just saw her name. That Joanna Pfaff. She was the one you said that she and
I
Phyllis.
think that's her, this stood out to me.
The third one in? Okay. Yeah?
Is it?
Let's see. This is Miss Allen Johnson. Yes, you are good, Marcia.
I can
That
hardly
is
see where
Joanna.
she's glass.
This one, Mom. This is Joanna Pfaff.
oh yeah, sure it is.
See? Does she?
If that's hard to read, I can blow it up at Kinko's and send it to you
Oh,
in
no,
a better
it's
size.
not the print so much as it is. I take eye drops or I just started them.
Who's next to me? That looks like a Phyllis Shaw. Sure enough.
It is. wonder
I
where-
cannot believe you remember that.
She remembered that. I think I emailed you that. She remembered that Phyllis and Joanna were at the christening of the plane.
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote.
Oh, there's Norm Olson again. Norm Olson.
Oh yes.
He was the good-looking one, huh?
Whoa.
Yeah.
And he looks pretty much the same now.
Does he?
My Star reunion.
Yeah. Marcia's always gone to the reunions of Maine. I don't think Mom ever. Did you ever go to a reunion, Mom? No.
You should have.
I should.
Yeah, and you would have
Well,
met Marcia.
we're going to have another one on May 18th. I was talking to Ralph Bishop, and we're going to have the 45, 46, and 47 at the a little mini reunion. So Ralph and I were going to have an invitation out in the mail
See?
pretty soon.
Had you known Ralph before?
I've known him about a year or two, just a couple of years, because he's a retired firefighter, and so we got to talking, and we found out about this, and he's a class of 45, so that's how we got to know each other.
So you found the plane then through the N number on the plane.
Through the number, and we tracked it down, and it's sitting in Arizona. You can't fly it, but it's still there.
Is it in a museum?
Where?
It's in on an Indian reservation
Oh.
that's on an abandoned airstrip. It's
Oh.
just sitting there with some other abandoned planes.
It's not indoors?
No, no one knew. Just thought it was. For years, it was used to put out firefighting and all kinds of
Oh,
things.
wow.
But it's still there.
Are they going to try to get it?
We're trying to figure out how we can rescue some of it or part of it, or
Well, I
it's
have
still
friends
there.
that live, in Scottsdale,
Oh, really?
and I'm sure you can go over there and do whatever.
Yeah,
She
that's
would.
cool.
Right. Yeah,
Huh.
we'll check it out. So now, what grade schools did you guys go to? What schools did you?
Grade school teachers.
What school did you go to before high school?
Elementary school. Where did you go?
Elementary school, Central School.
Central School?
Yeah.
And was that it? Did you go there too?
No, that's just planes.
Okay.
No, I went to Lincoln.
Okay, you went to Lincoln.
You can spit and hit it from your house.
Oh, yes, yes.
Wow.
Many kids, I live in a condominium building, and many kids in my building now go to Lincoln. So,
Who's this?
where I live in Park Ridge, the people
Where she
in my
lives,
building
where
go
Lori
to
lives.
Lincoln Middle School, where Marcia went.
Oh, sure, it's
So-
still there.
It's still there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, surely. I used to see these. I, for many, many years, belonged to a group called PEO. And,
What does it stand for?
huh?
What does it stand for? PEO.
PEO, it stands for, isn't that terrible? You ask me now.
Philanthropic Educational Organization.
Uh-huh. And it's been in existence over 100 years.
Wow.
But that was in Park Ridge. So.
And yes, Des Plaines at that time didn't have a chapter. And my mother had been a PEO out in western Kansas. And when they moved here, they wanted to send her name, and so she could go into the Park Ridge.
And meet some new people.
Yes, and meet new
Yeah.
people. Well, mother being a rather late mother, she couldn't quite see leaving a little girl and going off to PEO. And so she didn't join when they had the
When they made the move.
yeah, when
Yeah.
they made the move. So, but she kept in touch because she had so many friends from the PEO chapter in western Kansas. And my parents taught at the University of Kansas
Oh,
at Hayes.
right.
I was born in Hayes.
Okay, Hayes, Kansas.
Hayes,
Huh?
Fort Hayes, Kansas.
So when did you guys move? How old were you when you came here to Illinois?
I was 9 months.
So you
I
okay?
was a baby.
You were just a baby.
But my father had this opportunity, and he's always wanted to. In those years, now it's very different. In those years, large cities were the ones that had the best schools, and he had been into the New York and looked them over, and he didn't like New York himself.
Sure.
And so then, he was a bachelor, and
Right.
so he put in the music in the University of stayed there a year. He said that's the dumbest thing I ever did. He said, put a Maine man, state of Maine man, down in the
It was too hot.
heat. Oh,
But he liked his plains. They lived there for a long time.
yeah,
And
50 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I was born in Park Ridge.
Oh, we were?
Do you know, well, you're getting spitting distance. The blue house next to the old Kentucky Fried Chicken place
Yeah.
at Greenwood.
Yeah.
That house.
My
Really?
girlfriend Julie lives there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Julie,
Her maiden name was Keller.
yes.
What's her married name? I don't know her married name,
Oh,
but
I-
they love
I
that
do.
house.
I
Yeah.
know her married name.
Wow.
Where were you born?
Greenwood and Toohey and Park Ridge.
2 years.
Yes, that's where.
That's where Marcia was born, Mom.
Oh,
And I live 1 block from there.
I see. Where the it comes together in a.
Yeah, so I'm very close. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Small world.
And Julie is a good friend of mine also.
Oh.
When you next talk.
I talked to her 2 days ago at Walgreens. She picked up a chocolate marshmallow Easter bunny and asked if this was necessary. I said, yes, it is.
But some of the girls that, well, a couple of them that were born in the same year and our mothers knew each other. But some of the girls I went all through elementary and high school
Together?
and we met.
Have you kept in touch with any other high school classmates?
Yeah.
Marcia has a lot. My mom hasn't, but Marcia has.
But isn't it great how it brings back, you can remember exactly where you were when all this started?
So, what was it like when you first, how was it to go from Central or Lincoln to go to Maine, the high school? It was Maine High
For
School,
me, it was very scary.
was it?
I was a young student. My birthday is the last day of the year,
Oh,
and I wish my folks had held me back.
I see.
Were you shy, Marcia? Were you? Yeah.
Were you petrified?
Yes.
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 I had that feeling. I came from a little Catholic school, Mary Seat of Wisdom, and then went to Maine South.
Oh, that was huge.
I'm like, do you get a map?
Yeah.
What if they never see me again?
Yeah. See?
Isn't that?
Yeah. Neither one of the girls loved high school.
Right.
I found that out. Neither one of them loved
Marcia,
it.
how was it going to high school for you from going from Central School?
Well, there were some disadvantages, and I made certain that our daughter.
Yeah, just talk about you, Mom, with the school. You were kind of shy and didn't.
Yeah.
Although Mom was involved, she got into music, and you were a little involved, but
But I can't.
I wasn't so involved as much as I worked.
yeah, you worked. I know at Robinson's ice cream shop.
So you did you? So tell us about when you were in your family. How were you guys financially? Did you?
Before
Really?
the war started, my dad was a policeman, and they were paid in script. They didn't have money, so
That's right.
yeah.
So what did you? If they paid you in script, what did you do to get food and things like that?
I can remember him walking alongside. There was a coal yard at Greenwood and the highway, Bussy Highway, and the coal that would fall outside of the fence, my dad would pick up and use that.
Wow.
And I can remember having sugar bread and milk for supper and thinking, isn't this a treat?
Sugar bread.
And not realizing that was the only thing there to eat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
And so what did?
What do you do with script?
What?
I don't get that.
Well,
I don't
Script
either.
is where they'll.
It's like
It's an IOU. It's an IOU. So what did your mom do? Like, how did she try to make ends meet?
We, she made our clothes. I can remember I had
work for the defense department, you said, the defense plant.
So how did that come to happen? Where your mom went to work there?
They built turned the Clapper building, which is now at the corner of Main and not now, it always has been Main in Tui, into a defense plant.
Really?
And I think, half the population of Park Ridge worked there at some time or another.
Wow, what was the name of that place, or it was called
Totalizer.
Totalizer, okay. Wow. And
they made for Bombay automatic mechanics of some kind.
Okay.
To open up Bombay doors.
Right.
So.
Did your mom work there a lot?
Yes, and most of us, kids did too after school or.
Where did you work at?
I worked there part-time and then at a place down on Northwest Highway called, it still is in cement, Bayer.
Oh, okay.
And we made things for the Navy.
Wow. And did you have any brothers or sisters?
A brother and a sister.
Were you the oldest, or?
No, the middle one.
Okay.
I thought you had 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one died at the age of 6.
Oh, okay.
And the girl was a twin.
Right.
And she died at 9 days.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
9 days.
Right. So, Joanne, do you remember, in your household, did you guys ever not have that much food, or how was it in your house?
Remember it well.
Yeah?
We came here because my dad wanted to get involved in the Chicago schools.
Right.
The job wasn't available right then, and so he taught in Park Ridge and displaying. I mean, it was that they were coming into to townships.
Right.
And so that was what he did for 2 years prior to going into the Chicago, where he stayed for 26.
Oh, okay.
And
Money was short and food was short.
oh, very much so. He no more than got the job that they decided that Chicago decided that they would not pay the firemen, the policemen, and the school teachers.
They wouldn't pay them.
Nothing for a year.
Wow.
So they got the stipend things too.
Yes.
Or whatever.
The script.
The
right.
script, yeah.
And of course the bills just ran up like everything.
Okay.
My folks lost their house.
Oh, did they?
Your parents did, yeah. Well, and people, there was a large store. It had everything, clothes, called Brown's. And Mr. Brown lost his business, lost his house, beautiful house. My folks used to play bridge there a lot. It's still there. The house is still there. It's a pretty old place. And see, I guess.
So then he would give, Mr. Brown would give people credit, right?
Yes.
For things?
He would
yeah.
give, some pay the rent for 2 months because it was $50.
Mom and her parents lived in an apartment when they first moved to Springs
It's
before they
still
built
there.
the house. But,
So what did your mom and dad do for food other than, or what kinds of things did they do to make ends meet?
Well, my mother became a pretty good cook, and they were older when they married, and my mother had taught 15 years before she ever married my
they were in
dad.
their late 30s when they got married, which was really old for that time.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think the only reason she married my father was because she moved. She was tired of being his mate, in cards. He was a wonderful card player. I mean, just bridge. And so she left Western Kansas and she moved to southern parts of the United States.
North Carolina.
To North Carolina and taught in North Carolina in the university where they still, the women were in one building and the men were in the other. And the only time they came together was in summer school so that they could clean things up.
Sure.
And that was the way it was. And so, they were late bloomers, so to
Sure.
speak. And
My grandma was a good baker, so she probably got better during
yes.
when the food was here. Marcia had said that the butter, sugar, shoes, and gas were almost unheard of. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So did you have any sisters or brothers?
No, I'm an only
The
child.
only one.
But a point of interest, I don't know if this is true entirely during the Depression, but I happen to be one of 4 single children in the family. And that's just me. And then I was next to the youngest. And so there was one girl younger than
So you
I.
had lots of cousins at least. That was
Yeah,
good.
I had 4 cousin men. Well, they had to work.
Right.
The one just oldest, John, he's 4 years older than I, and he had to work like a man in my grandfather's.
How old was he then? Was he just a teenager or?
Yes, he was a teenager, and he's still living.
Oh, is
But
it?
then the other 2 are deceased. The youngest one is a girl, and she's deceased. And the oldest is deceased.
Right.
Oldest
Wow.
2, I guess.
We always had somebody spare living in our house, an aunt or a cousin or, that didn't lost homes or whatever. But I was reminded a circus came to town and my dad brought home tickets to go to the circus. And it went on and I looked around and I decided after I was, we were in the circus part, I'm with all the poor kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize it until then. But that's,
But what a nice treat.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So when the war came, so your mom went to work, and then what happened? When the war came? Well, let me first ask you: when did you hear about when did you hear about? Do you remember at all beginning of the war? You know, like when we were attacked?
Oh yeah, that Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. My brother and I had gone to the show. I can't remember what was playing. I never quite understood why Mother and Dad found a dime to send us to the show.
It's it, but they did, yeah.
When you say you went to the show, where?
The Pickwick.
Oh, to the Pickwick. Okay.
And, they had interrupted the movies to say that was occurring, so.
They did.
And then Marcia said when they came out, everybody was talking about it on the street. Yep.
Joanne, do you know anything about that? Do you remember when it happened or where you were?
Very much, and I wasn't very old. But it was just the three of us, at the table. And it was an oblong table, and my mother sat at the head, and I sat in the middle, and my father, being a left-hander, wanted to sit on the end. And so,
You were listening to the radio, you
yes.
said, and it was interrupted,
Yeah,
the program? Yeah.
and I always thought that you got your money from a bank, and what little did I know that it came, and I remember distinctly. I must have been about, I don't know how old I was. I can't even think that far back. But he came home one night from school, and he had money, and that was something.
Was it was money, not the stamps? Not the government stamps?
The scripts.
Well, they gave him a check.
Oh, okay.
They gave him a check for, let's see, I think,
Well, some of his pay.
yeah, and then the rest was in script, and I was ecstatic. I said, "Oh, play money, play money," and my dad said, "No."
Not play money.
So what did you do anything? What did you do for money or something when yourself during high school?
Americans, this is an example, but Americans, as I always said, they know how to do things when they don't have
When
things.
they have to. Yeah.
And
You worked.
I worked,
You worked at my
and I got, there was a law that you had to be 16,
Right.
and especially to go into the city. And I wanted a job because my dad, they were so they didn't get out of
Debt.
yeah,
Debt.
debts. They didn't get out of debts until I entered Northwestern. And the only reason I entered Northwestern is that they sold my bike, and they sold they sold all these different things in order that, and at that time, those of us who lived 11 miles toward Northwestern had to live at home. Well, that was a godsend because there was no way I could,
Sure.
And I wanted to go to Northwestern. My parents had gone to Northwestern.
I see.
And
Now, when you were 16, were you able to get a job at 16?
yes, I was 15.
You were actually 15.
She lied.
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I didn't even lie. But I went with my father a few times to Lion and Healy, which was the big music house in Chicago.
Okay.
I don't know what that was. I can't believe it. Anyway,
Water.
I
at the music. You were at the music.
I've been around, and so I went down on the train. I got permission from my parents, and of course, and Chicago was not what and so they just wanted me to be careful. And where did I think I would like to go? And I said, to some of the music stores on Wabash Avenue that Grampy goes. I mean, my daddy goes to. And so, that's fine. That's fine, I can do that. So anyway, I went to this gentleman who was older. I wasn't afraid of him, he's kind of like a grandpa. Mr. Fitzsimmons. And he I don't know if they called him or not. He certainly, but he welcomed me.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Oh my, where's your dad?" And I said, "Well, I'm here to apply for a job." And he said, "Oh, you are?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "What can you do that, for me?" And he said, "I know you play the piano. And would you like to show pianos?" And no, I didn't want to do that. And I said, "I type." And he said, "Oh, you do?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he asked me a little more about, that. He said, "Well, my, you've grown." And he said, and I was so afraid he was going to ask my age.
Sure.
But he didn't. He was very sweet, and he said, "Joanne, I'm going to send you
Do you want some coffee?
down cellar
You want coffee? Regular?
to the buyer, Mr. Berman, the buyer for all of the music in all of the Lion Healy stores all over the United States." Of course, and he still hadn't asked my age.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, if I could get that job, So he said, "You come with me," and he had a few questions for me, and he wanted to see me type. And then he took me to introduced me to Mr. Berman, who was a very wonderful Jewish gentleman that I just adored. And his son was in the service. And so, of course, he never asked my age. Now, whether Mr. Fitzgibbons said, "Don't ask her age," she's Seabury's child. And so anyway, I got the job.
Wow.
And Mr. Berman was so sweet and so wonderful to me. And when some of the, doing music is a big, big job.
Mm-hmm.
And it has lots of ins and outs and all kinds of things. And so they told me I'd have to remember a lot of this, and because they couldn't, put it all. And I thought, oh, gee. But they said they thought I could do it because my folks used so much music, and they had good resources. Thank you. Resources, and so they said they'd give me a chance.
So how much did you get paid? Did you remember?
I got paid. I remember I got $70 a month, and that was something.
Wow. How about you, Marsh? How much do you remember making back then? That was right. So now, what did you guys do? Now, once the war started, what did you do for fun, like after school and things like that? What were the kids doing? What were you guys doing for fun?
not much fun.
No, not.
Our,
Was I?
our assemblies used to be memorials, it seems to me.
Memorials. And who were these memorials for?
Students that have been killed in action.
Wow.
And they're brought home and given a, yeah.
Remember the Schreiber boy? He was such a good-looking young man.
Oh, I've forgotten about Shrivers.
And I really can't talk about him.
Yeah. Well, no, it was not an easy time.
No.
And so anyway, I managed to keep the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up worked there 5 years.
Did you? Now, did that help out? What did you do with the $70 a month? Did it help?
Well,
out?
I got up to 75, and then at one point I made it up to 80.
Did you have to share that with your family, or?
Well, I gave my folks but there again, as Art always said, Americans can figure out things.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he being in the service for so long, he was pretty good at doing that. And
Are you right-handed, Marcia?
Yes.
You're right-handed, okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, is that good there?
I never really revealed how old I was until, I must have been there a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I was at 5, thank you.
Be careful, we don't.
Should we set these aside so they're not in your way?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll set these aside, yeah. And we'll leave these with you, of course.
Just, we don't want coffee on our little
Paydays.
treasure I found.
Whenever I see a box of Pixies, now and you often see them given for gifts.
Yes.
It reminds me of paydays, and I'd bring my check home, and I was so proud, weren't you?
Oh my!
To
And
be able
how?
to contribute to the,
Yeah.
the household. I'd bring the check home in a box of Pixies.
Which?
My mom.
Aw,
Pixies,
that was her favorite.
yeah.
Fannie Mae Pixies. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that a great memory?
Here's
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
This is what I typed up.
It's what you
you're
forget,
both told me.
though.
Yeah.
And did what kinds now? When you were earning, what kinds of things were you buying, or did you get to buy anything on your own, or for
Oh, yeah.
what kinds of things were you guys
The time
buying?
I was 13 on, my folks never bought me another piece of clothing.
Oh,
You bought it
really? You had to
yourself?
buy your own clothes, and yeah.
I didn't have to, but I
But
did.
you did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about you, Joanne? What were you spending
Well,
your money
I was fortunate. I had an aunt and uncle that had no children,
on? Oh.
and they were very clothes conscious, very clothes conscious. And whenever I went there to be their child, why they take me and
Take you shopping.
shopping, and so I got to have some nice things, which eased the
Sure.
load on my parents.
Right.
It's sometime somebody ought to do a thing on people. How many children do people who were living in the Depression days have? And you find out that many of them, it was 1 or 2, and that's it. I mean, otherwise, I don't know what they did.
Sure.
But that was, and in my situation, we were all single children.
Yep, you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where my mother came from a family of 6, and my father came from a family of 5 or 6, and so I mean that was just, and then to go down to one,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Sure.
and nobody much to play with
No, that's right.
when you went to visit.
Does the man that Marcia knows? No, I can't think of his name.
Ralph?
Yeah, Ralph. Does he remember? You've probably been able to talk to him about a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a font of
Right. He does
Yeah.
have a lot of information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he? Because you know Ralph still from recently. I mean, since high school, you've seen
yeah.
him, correct?
Ralph
Yeah.
who?
Ralph
Bishop.
Bishop.
Oh, okay. I don't know him personally, but I know
Was
who
he?
he is.
Was he surprised when you found Marcia?
No, because he knows, Marcia, and he knows Joanne, and
Yeah, see?
Ralph.
Ralph
and he
Bishop.
lives spending
I know
distance
Ralph
and shit.
Isn't that funny? I don't know him.
Yeah.
You don't know Ralph?
No.
Oh, okay.
And now John did show me who he was. 2 weeks ago, we had a real fun historical event at the Park Ridge Library.
Oh,
They
right.
unveiled a mural that had been painted in 1940 when President Roosevelt instituted a program, and John was involved.
It was in the post office, in the Park Ridge post office, and so we got that restored.
I actually remember that mural in that post office from when I was little. Because I looked on your website and I saw it, and I remember that being in that post office because my dad and I would stop occasionally there to mail stuff coming back from work, and I just remember that mural.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So.
I'll have to.
So tell us, like, at school during the war, like, did they have any clubs, or did you tell us about what kinds of things that you had? The assemblies you talked about for people who were lost in the war. Did it change, like, what kind of clubs or activities, or what else was, how did you be affected by the war at school?
Well, I think just being, I don't know that, I can't seem to think of anything.
Is there one male university?
Yeah.
I was different. They have one male university.
Yes.
And then, so tell us about, now when you were working and you were older, and then how did you hear about the plant, and that was, did you know anybody working in the plant making all these big airplanes, that the Douglas plant in Higgins?
Yes.
I'm sure there was a big building boom
Was there?
around the area surrounding the Douglas.
Oh, the plant?
Yeah.
They built, it's a Georgian, that if you drive around the area, you can see what they've done with them.
Right.
But this
They're beautiful.
took care of the influx of personnel,
Sure.
especially,
As far as the plant itself, did you have any, did your fellow students' parents work at Douglas? Did you know anybody who worked at the plant?
Yes.
well,
Most
yes,
of them did, yes. And like in my case, I took the place of a woman that had been working for Mr. Fitzsimmons and also for Mr. Berman. And
You mean at Lyon and Healy?
Lyon and Healy. And they, boy, I guess they left immediately because their salaries were like tripled, you know.
You mean,
Right.
to go to the plant?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Right.
And I never would have had my job. Never.
Mhm.
I mean, the type of job, you know, where you're meeting people. I mean, and Mr.
So that was actually a benefit then, that they went to
For
work
me,
for the Douglas.
it was
Yeah.
and a benefit for them to get better wages.
Sure.
And
How many did that employ, that plant? Do you know?
There was thousands, many
Was it?
thousands. I would say
Yeah.
most probably 4 or 5,000.
And then did it close down after the war?
Right at the end of the war. Well, you guys, I don't know if you know about that, but they as soon as VJ Day, they stopped. They put out the word. They halted everything immediately.
And all the
they
people
shut-
lost their jobs, and yeah. So it wasn't open very long.
Right. So tell us about, like, do you remember what about the war? How about war bonds in general? how did that, that was, we hear a lot about the war bonds in general were a big deal. Were they a big deal
Well,
back
they
then?
were where I live.
Yeah, they were, in our home, wherever we went.
I don't know anything about them. What does it mean?
Well,
a war bond.
You,
Bought them in increments of 25.
yes, $25, 50, 75, 100. That was the most popular.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were
The
There was
stamps?
one that was,
There were stamps, and they were for smaller, right?
yes.
and then there was one, it was $350, because you said that's what that Uncle Art Webster bought,
Right.
was a $350 bond. But those were really rare. Most people didn't buy those.
And
And that matured to $500.
yes. And so, and he had never married,
I wrote about that.
and he had a lot of money, and that Saturday that I was at the bank the first time, that he came over and he wanted to know what I was doing, and I said, well, we're selling bonds for the plane we would like to buy for the war. Oh, you are, because I knew him from church, and he said, so what do I have to buy? And I said, well, they're bonds. They're, the 35,
All the different ones.
yeah, all the different ones. And, he said, okay, I'll get a few. And so what he did, he bought $25 bonds for a bunch of kids that he liked in his neighborhood. Now, those would mature at 25. They would mature, I think, at 50 or
Look at me, I wasn't around.
yeah. Was that right? A 50. And then if you gave a check for $50, that then it entitles you to, if you keep it 10 years, I think it was 10 years, and then you get 100.
But he bought $100 bonds for all of his nieces and nephews. And that's one of the reasons how skyrocketed for sales. Because he had a lot of nieces and nephews.
And he gave each one of them, and then he said, gee, I've forgotten about myself. And so I said, would you like, and so he said, well, I tell you, I'm going to get $100 and see what comes up. So he bought $100.
He bought the $350.
Yes.
He bought a
Yeah, no, $350. I'm sorry.
The higher ones were more than the
Right. Isn't it? Boy, man. Yes. And Miss Caroline killed me. She taught advanced English. Right,
And you got Parolini.
and I got Caroline.
So now, was she running the bond drive?
Well, she thought she was. You'll see it someplace in there. She thought she was. Yes, she did. And of course, some of these jobs, the teachers weren't, they were for it and all, and they could do things. But this was her time to
To shine.
There was something in the scrapbook of Mom's. One of your teachers left to be a Red Cross.
Miss Brown.
Oh, she's the one? Because there's an article in there. Oh, I know. I just saw it this morning.
Miss Johnson?
No,
Brown.
I don't know who.
Brown.
Brown?
Miss
Okay.
Brown.
Yeah, it said that she left to go and she went to Washington to be a Red Cross nurse or something.
No, a
And
driver.
this scrapbook.
Oh, a driver?
Room 201.
Oh, geez, Marcia.
Very
I'm
good.
impressed.
Room 201.
She had room 201.
It was in here.
Oh my God.
There's quite a bit. So you said yes, there is still a historical thing at Maine?
I only saw a 1940. Oh, there is a Maine Historical Society.
Within the high school.
But I haven't delved into that yet because right now I'm working with the Parkridge Historical Society.
Yeah, right. I just wondered.
Well, Ralph would be a fountain.
Oh, yes, he certainly is. So now, what started off the bond drive for the plane? Do you remember anything about, did Miss Parolini announce it, or how did it get started?
I don't know.
They had a school assembly.
Yeah, I think so, but I think the kids would have risen to the occasion and said, we don't want to work with her, you know.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm just saying that. But she didn't have a...
But she looks like her name sounds.
Yeah,
Just me.
What do you picture when you hear the word Caroline?
Caroline.
Mussolini.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
what?
There you go.
Mussolini. Somebody who stands very tall and erect and expects you to follow orders.
Yes.
Yes.
She wasn't tall, but she was all of the rest.
You had daddy-daughter dances at Maine.
Huh?
You had daddy-daughter dances at Maine.
Yeah.
What was it? Did you guys go to those?
No, I know I didn't.
Did
Mom must have, because she's got the thing here. Did you go with Grampy?
Yes.
Yeah, you must
And
have.
that's an accomplishment. The only
Yeah,
other
right.
person that got him to dance was this one.
Oh, my
Is
goodness.
that right?
And she...
Oh, here's more news of Maine C-54.
So did you guys now? During the war, do you remember Victory Gardens? Did your family?
Gosh, yes.
Did your families do those at all?
Yes.
Tell us about those.
Oh, well, my dad, he really went all out.
Really?
And he was a farmer's son, and
Oh,
so
okay.
he put in corn, he put in, and they said, well, it won't grow here, you know, and my dad said, well, we'll see. And then he put in potatoes, and we just had it all, you know, he did.
Where?
In the backyard. Turned the whole backyard over into a victory garden. That's what they were called, victory gardens. And the only amount he left my mother was a little area so that she could hang clothes. But anyway, and peas, beans,
Tomatoes.
yes, and what else? Oh, he had cucumbers. You name it, he had it.
And how about you, Marcia?
The same thing, only I'm sure not as elaborate. My dad was not a farmer. So, but,
And did you guys
Okay.
can the food, or what?
Oh, yeah.
You did canning and all that.
and when fruit came into season, you know, even though we didn't grow it, I remember there was canning of peaches and pears and pickles.
Plums.
So now,
The pioneer.
Your valedictorian was Arthur Anderson,
Oh,
the year that you graduated.
Whoop-de-doo.
Oh, apparently he wasn't as good as
You know,
the other one.
I was writing, so I missed something. Can you tell me again how you learned about the selling war bonds at high school? Did you
School
read
assembly.
about it in a paper?
no, they had I assume they had an assembly.
Yeah,
You,
and
you
I
said
think-
they did.
And for some reason, we had to all agree that this is what we wanted to do. So
sell them? Did they give you a book, a little booklet? What did you give to people that wanted to buy a war bond?
Well, I had my
Little sales thing? Was there
Yeah.
a little sales thing?
and paper,
A little booklet.
And then would you turn that into Mrs. Perlini? How would you then tell the school what you accomplished?
well, I would take it to her office. I was.
So then, yeah, and like every week you turn those things in? Yeah.
So did you? Oh, you sold a lot to your uncle. Do you remember? How was the other people? Who else did you guys talk to? Who else was buying bonds then?
Well, of course, people were very patriotic.
Neighbors, relatives.
Relatives, yes. And my aunt, who had no children, she was my best.
She bought some too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they bought some. Not as many as Mr. Webster. She's going to know all these people.
Mom, I've known these stories for so many years. I can tell them with
Yeah.
my.
Well,
I'm looking for Marcia's name in all your stuff here. She's got calling cards, but you're not in here, Marcia.
Later,
Did you guys have now? We don't have those calling cards today. Tell us about calling cards
I
back then.
think we could enclose those in our invitations to the graduation, wasn't it?
Probably. Yeah.
So who would you give calling? I mean, you would give them an invite to graduate. Would you use them for anything else?
I don't think so. We probably had to say that we could use 10, and they'd dole out 10.
Oh,
They
okay.
did used to have calling cards, though, when my grandmother, people used to hand
Right.
those out. Yeah.
Yeah, Bob
Yeah, but
had-
you didn't have those.
No.
Yeah,
When
except
I
for.
went into business, I wouldn't go anywhere without them.
Right. So now, did you anybody in your family, other your parents or your mother or uncles or cousins, any of them were in the war at all during the war?
During that war,
Mm-hmm.
My father and brother.
Your father was in the service. Well, tell us about when did he
He
go
was
into
on
service?
Saipan most of the time. He was a chief petty officer.
Oh,
in
was
the
he?
Navy. And my brother was, I think, a sergeant in the Army.
When did they? What grade in school were you when they left to go in
High school.
And you were in high school. What was that like then? What did you guys? Since they're gone, terrible. What did you guys? How did it affect things in the family then, since they weren't around?
Well, you just had to do what you had to do. Take on the men's jobs as.
So your mother, did she get a job when your dad left?
Oh yeah, she had it before he left at the defense plant.
And so, when you got off of school, were you by yourself? When you would come home from school, since your mom was,
Sure, and then right to work.
and then you would go to work.
Uh-huh.
Did you know any friends who were drafted or anything like this? You guys, when
a lot of people.
yeah.
Practically all the men.
Yes.
Right after graduation, did they then go to the Army?
Right.
Some during, right?
Yeah. Oh
During.
yeah, a lot.
Did a lot.
During, I thought, Pat.
Yeah.
Never went
Yeah.
during.
Did you?
Vicky Fitzpatrick,
Yeah.
the Shiloh boy.
Yeah, Marcia said that it was really hard when they had assemblies. She said that some school assemblies were really hard. They weren't fun like they're supposed to be because they were often memorials
Right.
to those killed.
Right.
Yeah, that's stuff.
Yeah. And oh gosh, I forgot a question there. Oh yeah, rationing. So now they had tell us about rationing during when you guys were during the war.
Did you save any of your stamps?
Yes.
Did you?
Did,
Should have brought them today.
Yeah, Mom, do you know where they're not here?
Well, I don't know.
Do you know where they would be?
it's okay. We're just here to talk about them. That's all right. So what we don't know anything about. Tell us about what were the stamps and how did they
For sugar,
for sugar?
butter, shoes,
Flour,
flour,
coffee.
just about anything you name it. Eggs,
Huh?
eggs.
Oh, eggs, yes. Yes. You are entitled to so many, we'll say, for a month.
Okay.
And so, and I suppose it's a lot like to the Europeans when the people would come and they dole out the, I suppose, yeah.
I remember where you shopped for food.
I do, yeah.
I do.
Where did you guys go to cash in you pay with your stamps? Where was that? Where'd you go do your shopping at?
There was a small mom and pop grocery store.
Was Thompson's there?
Not Thompson's as we knew it, but another Thompson. Anyhow, where that 4-unit apartment is it? Delphian.
Oh, there was a store there?
There was a store there.
Oh. I live there now. That's funny.
At that store?
Yeah.
The A&P, did you say?
Oh, the A&P on
Well, there was
across from the tracks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Oh, I love to go there.
I love to go there. You could smell the coffee.
I hadn't thought about A&P then, but then there were a number of people that had their own business, like Lamandius, and Lamandius were into Splains.
What's Lamandius? What is that?
Well, it's fruit and vegetables,
Uh-huh.
and some canned goods. It was a wonderful store.
Mm-hmm.
And if it hadn't been for Mr. Lamandia, why, the Seaberries wouldn't have
Eating as much.
no. And
So what did he sell things with it? With you didn't need all the stamps with him, or
no. He knew that my dad would pay him as soon as he had money.
mm-hmm.
And what they did in those years,
Are you talking about during the Depression or during the war?
Yeah, we're talking about the war, not the Depression.
well,
Yeah.
that was sort of the way it was worked out too.
Was it? Yeah.
That you'd get you got a little booklet,
Right.
and then they would take so many stamps for so much,
Mm-hmm.
and that went on for both of them, and we just went from one
One thing to the other, huh?
yeah.
So now, what happens if you didn't have it? You ran out of stamps, and what kinds of things did you deal with? Like if you still needed food and you already used up your stamps, or what kinds of things what did you do?
Well, you looked for the black market.
Did you?
I think some people did, or from an irreputable merchant who would let you buy the shoes without any stamps.
Oh,
So
how common was that? Were you guys able to get on the buy from the black market to get extra things? No.
my dad would never.
Have done that. Yeah.
I have a few more questions, pictures from the yearbook. Can we start with this one up here? The caption says, "Here's the bond thermometer as it appeared December 13th, 2 days before it burst. Students shown are National Honor Society officers John Bergeson, Art Anderson, Kay Sanders, and Barbara Belke." So there apparently was a way to measure how much was raised selling bonds. Do you remember going to see this at school? Like I said, it showed.
We would go in and say we sold X number of,
You
and
remember that, Mom?
yeah,
You remember?
yeah. And this is the Belke gal. Yeah, Barbara Belke. Oh, I know her. We were friends for a long time. I don't know what happened.
Do you remember how much did you sell about? Or?
No, that I sold about.
Yeah, you sold.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he was my big.
Your own.
But I had a lot of luck because, as I say, my aunt and uncle with no children, they got into this
Sure.
too. They thought this was lots of fun. And so then they would, you know,
So this must have been like in the school, like in the hallway somewhere in the school?
Rotunda.
In the rotunda? Okay.
Okay, well, that brings me to my next question. The picture down below, where we see a row of students seated, and it looks like Arthur Anderson is talking to everyone.
is
Apparently.
that Arthur Anderson?
Yes, it is.
Do you guys remember going out to the plant that day or anything like that?
Well, I remember we did something, but I can't.
Now, you didn't go to the plant. I thought you went, or is that at the
Yeah,
plant?
that's at the plant.
Okay, then.
Well, it was outdoors, though.
It was outdoors. It was outside. Yeah, outside the plant, right?
I don't
Okay.
have-
Oh,
remember
Winnedale Allen. Did you ever know her
She taught
speech?
in, yeah.
Yeah, speech in English, and you know, but Winnedale Allen.
That's my first Willowdell.
Oh,
Can't think of another.
I've never heard
Can't
that
think of
name
another
either.
Willowdell. They wanted a William.
Yeah.
And they're like, what can we do?
Yeah, no kidding, Lori.
Okay.
Moi.
Okay, moi, how about this? Tell me about this. You're sitting on this stage and they're announcing that you sold the most war bonds.
Yeah.
I think it was going to be a surprise.
Well, was it? I guess. Well, I guess.
You know, that they would
It
announce
made
who
it.
had sold them.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I mean, I knew that I'd done a lot, but
Were you surprised then when they called your name? Or when they said you had done the most? Do you remember? Were you shocked?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay, now, how about this next picture? This shows the crowd of students that went out to the Douglas plant to actually see
Yes,
the
I
plane.
went out.
Do you remember this?
I
I just
remember.
remember it being a crowd of students.
Yeah, I remember being there.
So then it must have gone, because you thought it was at O'Hare, so then the plane must have gone then
It was-
from,
Well, it's actually that
That is
O'Hare wasn't.
O'Hare.
That is O'Hare.
It's right next to O'Hare.
It's right.
that.
That's where O'Hare is
Okay.
from.
See, because I'm young, I didn't know that.
Now,
So you
tell the
remember,
youngster and the rest of
seeing.
us.
So you
Yeah.
remember seeing the plane then, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and now, I mean, when I see it now, yes, I remember that very well.
Wow. So how did you get from Maine over to Douglas?
Well, I either was taken by my dad, or
You said you went with your social studies class.
I was
So
going to
maybe
say
a bus? Did
Yeah.
they take
a
a
bus
bus?
He was
or
on a bus.
something. Yeah,
Sure.
that would have
They
been
must
my
do all
only
there.
other.
Right. So what other kinds of things were going on? What kind of stories that were fun stories about in school that probably,
From high school?
high school, that,
Gosh.
you know, I know you guys kind of didn't know each other, but maybe you know some. What kinds of funny stories or do you remember from the old days? You know,
I
back
just
then.
remember Ralph
Yeah.
Craig jumping out of the second-story window in elementary school.
Grace who?
Ralph Craig.
Ralph Grace.
Craig.
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 C-R-A-G-G.
Did he live to see high school?
Apparently. He went into the service when he was 15.
He did.
Wow.
Oh, a lot of them did. A lot of them gave their ages as 16,
And they were 15.
and they were 15.
Wow. Did anybody write to any of you soldiers back when they went in?
Sure.
Oh, yes.
Did
I
you?
mean, you had, you had,
The
well,
V
you had
male.
some relatives.
You had
too.
what, Marcia?
Female.
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 Yeah.
What's female?
Female's just it's a kind of letter for sending to soldiers. It's very light.
Yeah.
Right. So did you write to any of the soldiers yourself?
Oh,
did you know
sure.
any? Who did you write to back
All
then?
my cousins, and of course my brother and my father. And
what kinds of letters would they write back? What kinds of things would they tell you about?
Isn't it a shame that we didn't save some of those?
Now, when did you said your folks, when did your father and your brother get back from the war?
My brother, after the armistice was signed, had been in Europe, and so it would be shortly after that. And my dad shortly before the armistice was signed.
Sure.
So.
And then what was it like? Do you remember when they came home and you saw them for the first time? What was that like?
Oh, back to business as usual. There were no, big parades. There would be on Memorial Day, of course. We honored those that had served.
Right.
But just putting our lives back together again.
Right.
Did you feel patriotic? Did you feel a sense that you as students were helping our country?
Oh, yes.
That's what moves me so much about your story, is that at such a young age, you acted.
Yeah.
You said, we can help.
Yeah.
Well, here again, I revert back to our assemblies. You can't see friends of yours dying in the war and not feel.
Right. Right, and at such a young age.
Yeah.
So
I don't
young.
think people today remember that.
Oh, I sure don't. How can they?
My daughter's in high school. I don't know. She's just a freshman, so I'm sure I can understand how she would feel.
I remember one day in the office, Frank Yonan, he was the eye doctor.
Dr. Yonan.
He came in, and I said hello, and he wanted to see Don. So he walked to the back of the office, and I said to the group of girls, I said, well, that was Mr. Yonan. And he survived the baton.
The baton death march.
And
Oh,
they
wow.
said, ooh,
Wow.
they didn't have a clue.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He
That's
marched.
what
He marched.
disturbs me.
It's amazing that Dr. Yonan survived that baton death march.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Joanne, do you remember who you wrote or who you knew wrote letters to or viewed letters to during the war?
Not too many, but I did write to. I wrote to John, my cousin John. He was in the Navy,
Right.
and well, I had a cousin that sounds silly, was with the Follies,
Ziegfeld.
yeah,
Ziegfeld Follies.
the Follies, the
Ice capade.
ice,
Follies.
yes, ice, yeah, that wasn't ice capades, but it's one like that. And he was a drummer, and so with the war going on, they gave him some sort of a, he could be on again, off again
Mm-hmm.
type of thing, and he could go for 6 weeks, come home, go another 6 weeks, that sort
Right.
of thing.
Okay. 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off. Right.
Yeah, he did that. Bob Wyman was his name.
Right.
I thought it was interesting too, though. You talk about letter writing. I had a cousin up in Alaska, a what's the name of it?
Seward?
Fort Seward?
No, way up the corner.
Oh, Fairbanks or Nome?
Attu.
Attu. Okay.
Attu.
Okay. Okay.
In the South Pacific and in Europe, all over
All
the
over
world.
the world. Wow. what was like it, and where do you remember hearing? What did you guys do on? You ever hear about when the end of the war in Europe? Do you remember hearing about that?
Somewhat, but I remember more clearly the one in South Pacific.
Right.
I was in San Francisco, and the Army base that I worked for had shut down for it because they saw this coming. And the day that it came, the sky was azure blue. It was beautiful. And all of a sudden, I heard playing taps. So you take the color of the day and the music, and it was very moving. One of those things that you don't forget.
Right. Because of all that was all the people that we lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been accomplished?
Right. Right.
The war to end all wars.
Oh, I know it supposedly was.
Yeah.
What was your impression of President?
Or Roosevelt. What was like? Do you remember during the war, like Roosevelt? What did you?
Hi, cookies.
Oh my.
Chocolate chippers.
Wow, you're our new best friend.
Yeah. We're.
I wonder-
Hi, Bob. How are you? We're having very serious conversation. Yes. Did you think we'll try for a cookie?
You want a cookie, Mom?
Yes. My mother taught me to take
How many
the
kids do you
closest
have,
one near it.
Sure you are.
Joanne.
You don't look old enough. to
Yeah,
have a
but
daughter.
it had to be moved.
Well, thank you.
Would you like one?
I'm good.
Do you have a spare?
Sure, I can get one in the kitchen.
I don't live here yet.
Well, I know I can.
Yeah, Lori.
Thank you.
I'm fine, thank you.
All right.
I'm just practicing.
I'm good. I ate earlier. But yeah,
Okay, we're talking about your recollection of the president
Yeah.
during the war.
Did you listen to? What was you thinking about? Or how did was Roosevelt a big deal at the time? Or
Oh yes. We hung on to every word, whether you liked him or not. He was our leader.
right? Yeah, I was. Well, just while you, I was in the military for a couple of years myself, but I was lucky. The most place I was sent was Puerto Rico, so that was all the action I saw. I was sunburned. So I was very lucky. And then I met my wife in ROTC in college, so she was in the Army, so we're both have that going for us. So. Our daughter's definitely not going to go for that, so. So.
When you see this picture of Maine, is that the entrance you would have used? Or would you guys have used one of the side entrances?
Yes, it is.
Did you go in that front door, Marcia?
Yep.
Okay.
Did Maine do a good job educating you? No?
No, Marcia.
I mean, what am I to measure it on, with?
Did you go to college, Marcia, after high school?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you feel?
Do you think you got a good education, Mom, at Maine?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
What were they good at and what was not so good at?
I think relating to the students, the teachers were pretty good.
Yes, the teachers were good for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Except Miss Caroline.
Yeah. And don't go in about Mr. What's his name, Mom. I have to leave today, so don't start about him. That band guy or that orchestra guy, Harley or whatever. Don't start it because I have to leave, Mom. Seriously, we don't have that much time.
I've forgotten all about him.
Oh no.
Could we get a picture of the yearbook with these two ladies
Sure,
looking at the yearbook and having their coffee?
Yes.
Let me just open this up to somebody other than...
Actually, let me move Mom just a little closer, Mom, to Marcia. We're gonna get a couple pictures.
benefit of your
You
book.
want one story with you and John, with the ladies?
Oh, that would be
Yeah, that'd
great.
be great.
So you can prove that you were here?
Yeah.
We can take your time
Yeah,
if you.
Yeah, should we, well, we might have to
Did she
try
bring a
to-
napkin?
Oh, here, I'll get one, Marcia, from Mom's apartment. Hold on. Hold on.
Is it our reward?
Yeah.
Well, they must be good ones.
There.
They're
This is a
excellent.
really nice place.
They're homemade cookies. Is that every day?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get my stuff.
Right, I know.
This is perfect.
You'll be happy here.
Here you go, Mom.
Thank you, ma'am.
Marcia,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
But there's no loud traffic on two of your barking dogs. That's what I'm used to.
Yeah, see, you wouldn't know what to do, would you? Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just stand behind them?
No,
Yeah,
we'll have them shot by themselves.
Yeah. I don't know, I might have to pry those cookies away from them.
Why? I like it.
You like the cookies?
I like it.
All right.
Because it's a
Okay,
nice,
girl.
relaxing visit.
That's right. Marcia, you want to look up here and say cheese to me?
Cheese.
All right, let's get one more. All right.
We're so glad you're a photographer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
What a
see?
camera. Can we get in behind you and get a picture?
Let's let Lori
Okay.
and John get in so they can, at their next historical society meeting, they can
Can we prove that we
say,
actually...
we were
Oh,
here.
that's perfect. Be doing just that. That's
Yeah,
perfect.
see, Lori, bend down just a little. There you go.
She just died.
Yeah. Marcia.
I'd hate to go through this. I think I stood up in that when you were taking
No, you're
that.
good.
Now, would you like to be in a
Say
picture?
who's-
No, I don't need to take a picture.
Dolores.
Please, unless you know.
I want that one.
You're just going to show Nancy.
Yes.
And say, look how old Beth has gotten. Oh, she's sorry.
By the way, Nancy, let me, I'll show you a picture. Joanne, this is another picture of
Oh,
Nancy's.
there's my picture.
You know Rich and Nancy, right?
Rich and Nancy.
Yeah, you know them.
Okay.
That vaguely familiar?
Yes and no.
Beth, you'll get a laugh out of this. Let me show Beth.
Yeah, let me see, Nancy.
This happened in 1 hour. Nancy said, Rich's
Oh, my
brothers are in town.
gosh.
Can we come over to Dad's house? I said, sure. And she goes, we'll see if John's available. Oh, that brother's available. See if that one's available. That happened in half an hour.
Oh, my gosh, how great.
Isn't that funny?
Now that, there I am.
Nancy.
So my
Well, let me see.
These people have something to do.
Yeah.
Where are you? Oh,
There you are.
Yeah, stay there, John.
stay there, John. Isn't that cute? That's a great picture. Oh, yeah, one of John looking at us, yeah. Yep. An action shot. I love it. I don't know.
What was your maiden name?
Shoot him.
Oh, we aren't in the right.
So I heard that there was a little controversy. So was there much? Now you had people from Des Plaines and Park Ridge. Were there any other towns going to Maine High School?
Maybe parts of Glenview.
Glenview.
Parts of Glenview,
Parts of Niles.
Niles, and what was the name?
Croatian home.
Oh, the great.
What was a Croatian home?
It was across the street from this big building. They were Croatians that had no families, and it was a well run.
So they were orphans there, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They had a grammar school.
Remember this one, Frank?
Huh?
Remember Frank? I forget what his last name was, but he was a good basketball player.
I don't know.
I don't see him.
So did you have any boyfriends we can talk about this.
I didn't.
You didn't have anybody you were sweet on?
Well, I had a couple of boys, but they were. The only reason I had them was I accompanied them.
You accompanied them.
Mother, that sounds terrible. The only reason I had them.
What does that mean, you accompanied them?
Well, they played xylophone and marimba,
Okay.
and they studied with the men much from that gentleman, Mr. Besley.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and
I can't find me.
You can't find yourself?
No.
So, did you guys have many dances, or did you have music like Benny, the Goodman, and?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, but
And we especially,
I'm gonna find you now, Marcia.
during the lunch hour,
You had lunch hour? Tell us about that.
right? Remember they used to dance?
I forgot.
Look at
Dur-
you.
Oh.
Look at you.
All the teeth and hair.
So tell us, you had dancing during the lunch hour. How did they do that?
Jukebox.
They had a jukebox, and where was this, in the school or in the gym?
Yeah.
She is beautiful.
And what kind of dances would you guys do?
Jitterbug.
Jitterbug?
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll have to tell my daughter that.
Yeah.
During lunch, isn't that something?
That is great.
They should do that now. Yeah, look at my pretty mommy too. Look at that.
They're real lookers.
Look at you girls. Wow.
You're very good looking.
I didn't do much after school because I had this job,
Right.
and I don't know how to explain this. I'm grateful for the education that I got.
We was not popular.
No, that's right. I was not that did not interest me.
Right.
And when I had a job like I had, I wasn't about to goof around and,
Sure.
And of course I wasn't going to hurt my father's name. I mean,
No.
they say, this is Joanne Seabury, Cap Seabury's wife, our child.
Right.
And
Okay, girls. Excuse me for interrupting, Mother. You're gonna both hold the yearbook because you're both on the same page. How weird is
Oh,
that?
wow.
Fantastic.
Okay, so Mom, you hold this edge of the yearbook, and Marcia,
Oh, my
you
gosh.
hold this edge. And I'm taking a picture. Come on, hold the yearbook, Marcia. Well, finish chewing. I won't take it until you're done chewing.
That is the funniest.
That is really
So,
bizarre.
Yes, and Joanne is right.
Your mom's here. And there's Marcia. Isn't that
Oh,
weird?
wow.
Now that's weird. That's karma.
isn't that,
That means it's meant to be.
That's
Yeah.
right.
how about that?
Is it? Oh, that's the picture. That's the picture right there. Them shaking
Can't
hands.
you imagine how we felt when we discovered that we were in the same
No.
class?
No.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
How
It's
about
like
you?
it was destined
Got
to
a
be.
little chocolate on this side. So you know it's really good.
It's probably all over my face.
No, it's not. Just the corner. That's all right.
Thank God for telling you. Nobody would have told me.
Yeah, see?
Well, see, this part of my face is all numb,
Oh, is it, Marcia? Yeah.
so I never know when I...
See? Oh, that's what I'm here
You're
for, you,
good.
Marcia.
Good.
Now,
Let's
yeah,
put
just
the book up a little
cock it up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. All right, girls.
Oh my gosh.
There we go.
Big smiles.
Look here.
Yep.
Okay, Marcia, look at me now. Okay.
That is
Excellent.
fantastic.
That's amazing.
And now-
That is weird. You're on the same page.
Okay, now can you take a picture of that page too, because we might not be able to
Yeah,
use
that's
that.
what I